Right now, the sun is back this Sunday, but a roller coaster week of temperatures is expected for us here in south central Wisconsin. Chris is tracking the very latest. And from jumping around to jumping down, what's next for the Badgers and their top 10 ranking after an unexpected loss in Champaign?
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning. It's 6:30 in the morning on October 20th. I'm Keely Arthur, in with meteorologist Chris Reese. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Keely. Good to see you.
Yeah, wasn't here yesterday, and you were lovely, and you drove right after work over to Highland. We were at the funeral services for Levi Lynchheder, good friend Leah Lynchheid's brother, who passed away about 8 days ago, 7 days ago now. It was really sad, beautiful tribute. We just wanted to kind of update people and let you know that all the support that you've been giving Leah has really helped. Yeah.
No, I think the Lynchheid family is really kind of leaning into the support that's poured out for sure.
Yeah, and you've been so supportive. Everyone's been so great. So our hearts and prayers are with them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a nice day.
Yes. Switching from segueing to that, no, it will be sunny.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We are looking at a beautiful day. Things are starting out with some fog out there, though. Dense fog advisories for pretty much the western half of the state. That does include us here in Madison. Visibility right now in Madison, 7 miles, but that's officially at the airport. Here on the west side, the visibility is a lot worse. You go over towards places such as Basketball and Lacrosse, the visibility gets down to a quarter mile in some spots, if not zero. Speaking of zero, the Edgewater Skycam is down. 49, the temperature right now. We are mostly cloudy at the airport. 48 in Janesville, Juneau at 46, Wisconsin Dells at 44 right now. But here's overall weather track. We are quiet. We're going to be staying quiet throughout the day. Once that fog lifts, I do believe it will be a day of sunshine for us. Temperatures will be topping out into the low 60s this afternoon.
That's so nice. That really makes me happy.
This is going to be a good day.
You and I, you like kind of the colder a little bit. I like the heat. I think this is a day we could agree on.
Medium?
Okay.
Yeah. We're both happy today.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, we begin with breaking news from across the pond. The vote for the UK to lead the European Union has been kicked down the road to the beginning of this week in what's already being described as Manic Monday. Saturday's rare session ended without any resolution, offering little detail on when or even if Britain will finally leave the world's largest trading bloc. Meanwhile, massive crowds of anti-Brexit protesters are already back on the street of London today. Organizers say up to 1 million people jammed the central part of the city overnight as Parliament withheld approval of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Brexit deal. They approved an amendment that postponed the vote on Prime Minister's deal, a setback for Johnson, but good news for Brits who want to remain in the EU.
We don't want to break up of our union. We want to stay in Europe. We want to stay aligned. It's good for us, and we need to stay, and we demand another vote, and that's why we're here.
I want a clean break. I want a fully independent, sovereign United Kingdom.
By law, the Prime Minister has to ask for an extension to the October 31st Brexit deadline. But here's where things could get tricky. Boris Johnson said he can't do that, which may mean he has something else up his sleeve. Well, back on American soil, William Taylor, the acting U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, is expected on Capitol Hill this week for questioning in the impeachment inquiry. His testimony comes as a growing number of Republicans in Congress struggle to defend the president's actions over Ukraine and Syria. Right now, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney is leading a weekend retreat at Camp David with Republican lawmakers just days after revealing President Trump froze military aid to Ukraine because he wanted the country to investigate debunked theories about the 2016 election. But despite delivering the news defiantly, hours later, Mulvaney reversed his remarks in a statement, claiming they were, quote, misconstrued and insisting there was absolutely no quid pro quo. Now, members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are speaking out, with even a member of the president's own party saying he won't rule out impeaching the president.
The instance of Mr. Mulvaney is the continuation of the collapse of this administration, the kind of calamity and catastrophic actions that are going on.
I was shocked at those.
Republicans were much quicker to call out President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria before the Turkish military invaded, leaving Kurdish fighters to fend for themselves, even though they are close allies. The president has shown no regret, but Turkey says the attack will resume if the Kurds don't leave the area in 3 days. In a Washington Post op-ed, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell denounced the decision. New this morning, the Houston Astros are moving on to the World Series after eliminating the New York Yankees with a 6-4 win overnight in Game 6 of the ALCS. Houston's Jose Altuve won the game with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th after New York tied the game with a home run of their own in the top of that inning. The Astros won the World Series in 2017 and will now get another shot as they get ready to play the Washington Nationals, who recently eliminated the St. Louis Cards to win the National League pennant. As for the Yankees, their loss means this will be the 10th consecutive year the team's baseball historically dominant franchise will not appear in the series. Back in Wisconsin, today Badger fans are waiting to find out how far down the AP Top 25 down that poll they will fall after a crushing loss to Illini Saturday. I know our producer Christina Laurie, who went to U of I, is very happy about this story. Wisconsin went into their first road game in more than a month undefeated and just a week removed from a blowout homecoming win against Michigan State. Now, they started off strong, but faltered in the end, losing on a last-second field goal from Illinois. Final score 24-23. Right now, CBSSports.com is predicting the loss will drop Wisconsin from 6th in the polls to number 13. They play Ohio State on the road next week. As the Wisconsin Book Festival continues today, the Wisconsin South Central Library System is announcing people should expect a delay in checking out ebooks starting November 1st. That's because Madison Public Library Publishing Company Macmillan Publishers announced a new model that restricts libraries to lending out one ebook in the first 8 weeks of its release. The library is petitioning against this. Library officials say people will be competing against 750,000 other libraries for the book. They say the restriction could make people wait for months.
Worried about sales. So they're seeing decreasing ebook sales. They feel that libraries are competition. We feel that we're friendly allies.
The library campaign is called eBooks for All. More than 120,000 people have already signed up. You can visit ebooksforall.org to sign up yourself. You'll start seeing Teslas on the road this week, with Green Cab rolling out 30 to 40 of them by the end of the year. It's part of a push to make Wisconsin carbon neutral by 2050. Green Cab will be one of the nation's first taxi companies with an entire fleet of the car. Current hybrid Priuses will be replaced by the all-electric Tesla Model 3s. This is a partnership with the local tech startup Zerology, which aims to speed up the transition into eco-friendly transportation.
My office focuses on the issues and the core principles of equity and of sustainability, and with my responsibility overseeing that work in the newly created Office of Sustainability and Clean Energy, these are the exact type of efforts that we love to see, and we hope to continue to see them replicated all across the state of Wisconsin.
Green Cab will also be building a solar car charging station at its home base. Fares for riders aren't expected to go up. Good news there. Also good news for anyone trying to catch up on their sleep this weekend and every day moving forward. No more rude awakenings for folks who live near the East Side Railroad tracks. The upgrades to create a quiet zone are being implemented from Corey Street to Wabisa Street. Now, trains are required to blow their horns at every railroad crossing except in quiet zones. Now, trains passing through the neighborhood will only have to sound their horns in the case of an emergency. According to the city, there are 85 railroad crossings in the city. 26 of those are equipped for quiet zones. And this is one train you'll be happy to see in town. The Canadian Pacific Holiday Train will be making stops again this year in Wisconsin. Mark your calendars. It'll stop in 13 Wisconsin cities, including Columbus, Watertown, Portage, the Dells, and Mauston. That's between December 2nd and 4th. It'll be free to go and see it, but you have the option to donate to help fight hunger in local communities if you do go. Time right now, 6:39, getting loud and letting loose, and all in the name of Zen. I like this story. We're getting a behind-the-scenes look at a new trend sweeping the country, rage yoga. But first, here's a live look outside. Chris has your full first alert forecast just ahead.
Well, some of us, especially throughout the western half of the viewing area, are waking up this morning with limited visibility. We have some dense fog in some spots where the visibility has come all the way down to zero. For Woqua, the Dells, Black River Falls, and Mineral Point, all at zero visibility right now. The western side of Madison, visibility is fairly limited due to some fog as well. But at the actual airport, your visibility right now is 7 miles. But we do have dense fog advisories going from Dane County down to Monroe, all the way up through Westfield and back through the western tier of the viewing area. That's going to go throughout about 10 o'clock this morning. And so we're going to keep a close eye on that. The reason for the dense fog, well, temperatures and dew points. They come together. Let me show you that in just a moment. The temperature right now in Madison, 49 degrees. A lot of folks into the 40s, especially as you work your way towards the east. Low 40s, though, are showing up back towards the west, along with low 30s. Now let me show you the dew points. In these same areas, we have dew points that are into the low 40s and 30s. When the temperature and the dew point come together, you get a lot of fog because dew point is simply the temperature that water condenses. So you get clouds that form on the ground. We call that fog. That's certainly what we're seeing. In terms of precipitation, there's none of that in Wisconsin. That's all moving away from us. We are going to be between systems today, which means we're going to be staying on the dry side. Back towards the west, some clouds are already starting to move in. That's the next area of low pressure that's going to be coming our way, bringing with it probably a pretty substantial chance of rain, especially as we head into your Monday. Let's go ahead and track this system in from the west. And once we get towards tonight and towards tomorrow morning, Future track is finally picking up on what I've been talking about for the past couple of days, where I thought it was underdone. It's now getting the picture on the fact that we're going to have a lot more moisture to work with on this system. And so we'll likely see some heavier rain going through Monday, perhaps some rumbles of thunder or two, along with wraparound showers into your Tuesday morning, along with the cloud cover. It'll likely be a dreary couple of days. It's also going to be tapping into some colder air to move on in. We're looking at a pretty decent cold front that's going to allow a lot of upper level cold as we go through the middle of the week. Then another cool shot arrives as we approach next weekend. That'll drop those temperatures down and perhaps more. Where that came from as we get you towards the end of the 10-day forecast as well. But let's go ahead and time out the sunshine today and when that rainfall could arrive tomorrow. We'll see those temperatures right around 63 this afternoon. Again, plenty of sunshine, but the clouds will be on the increase overnight tonight. When you're waking up tomorrow, we'll see some spotty showers. That heaviest rain moves in probably between 10 o'clock and lunchtime. In fact, lunch does not look pleasant tomorrow afternoon. But by the time we get you towards the evening commute, we will start to see those showers starting to die on down. The clouds and isolated showers really do stick around, though, as we head into your Tuesday. A slight chance of rain on Tuesday, along with another slight chance on Wednesday. But we're ultimately drying out a little bit. Only minor rain chances at this point. Temperatures, though, will be in the 50s and 40s.
Pretty normal for this time of year?
It's a bit below average, but our average high at this point is 57, so we're not that far below average,
right,
but
well, let's
cooler.
keep it.
We'll see what we can do.
I'm counting on you.
We'll work on it.
Okay.
We will work on it.
Thank you.
No promises.
Okay. Well, with vaccination rates low for adolescents and teenagers, some major medical groups are issuing a call to action. Several leading medical groups are urging to establish a 16-year-old immunization visit. Among the vaccines teens can get at that visit, the second dose of the meningitis vaccine that protects against A, C, Y, and W strains, and the meningitis B vaccine, as well as the flu vaccine, depending on the time of year. Well, for some, getting zen means getting loud and letting loose. It's called Rage Yoga. It's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. It promises to help you de-stress. Our news partners in Kansas City went to have a look at this new trend.
It's a little bit different than your traditional yoga.
We're gonna get weird.
Dimmed lights, you have soft music. This is complete opposite. It is yoga with an attitude, basically.
I've never done Rage Yoga before. I had recently seen something online about it, and then I saw it was available here, so I jumped on the opportunity. So you're gonna put it to your heart.
The technique is different. Instead of calming your mind, you're bringing everything out. Instead of just trying to push it out quietly, you're gonna push it out, and it's gonna be loud.
Well, first off, I get a beer with it, but the idea of also kind of incorporating like the stress release of like yelling or screaming or flicking somebody off, you know what I mean?
We'll be listening to loud music, explicit music. We will be cussing, using profanity, yelling, screaming, just letting all the negative energy out tonight. That's the goal.
It's something I enjoy. I mean, it's not like my regular music I listen to all the time, but I still enjoy it.
In my house, I practice yoga to rock music, to metal music, to loud music. That's just what I enjoy.
Speaking as somebody who works really, really hard and, you know, feels a little burnout sometimes, like it just makes such a huge difference. The mental aspect of just releasing all that stress just seems like it's going to be a wonderful experience.
You don't have to have that perfect place in your house. You can just let it out and you can be yourself.
That is too funny. Time right now, 6:49. Well, they are one of the first in the nation to cast the vote in the presidential primaries and caucuses. And next, we'll find out the state of that race and what is on the minds of Iowa voters now, many of whom were undecided back in June. That's all ahead when News 3 Now This Morning Sunday continues. Welcome back. Iowa voters had the least amount of time to make a decision on the Democratic Party nomination. They have definite opinions, though, about which candidates performed well in the most recent debate, and some minds have been changed. CNN's Gary Tuckman talks to a group of voters he's been following for months.
Join our team. Senator, thank you very much.
When we met this group of loyal Iowa Democratic voters in June, they were all undecided on who they would support in the first-in-the-nation Iowa caucuses.
We've now been with you for 4 debates. The first 3 debates, the consensus winner of each of the debates was Elizabeth Warren, according to all of you. Tonight, who was the consensus winner? We will start with you, Ed.
I'd say Warren and Klobuchar.
I thought Booker and Klobuchar had the best night.
Warren and Klobuchar.
Warren.
Booker and Warren.
Booker and Warren.
Booker, Klobuchar, and Buttigieg.
Warren. Castro, Klobuchar, and Booker.
Elizabeth Warren got 5 mentions.
She's able to respond intelligently with the different attacks and with the ideas that are going on out there.
Sometimes the look on her face was almost like, oh wait, me this time? But she was able to come back and keep her cool and get her message across without diving into that fray of attacking them back.
But this time, Warren is sharing the position of favorite. Amy Klobuchar got the same number of mentions.
She was intelligent, she was answering the questions, she wasn't dodging anything, and she was, sticking to being honest and clear and forthright.
She spoke clearly. She was trying to also bring people together, and that's why I liked Booker as well.
And Cory Booker was a close third among this panel.
He comes across as truly believing in what he's saying, and it's not the rote talking points.
During our 4 visits with this group, only one person has thought Joe Biden did the best job, and that was Eugene Malone after the first debate. But this time,
he didn't do the best tonight.
And why is that?
He was just a little off. I mean, the last couple of times for me, he just seemed a little off.
But the group agreed with this.
How do you think Joe Biden handled the situation with his son Hunter and the Ukraine issue?
I think he handled it reasonably well and gave it the time that it deserved. It needed to be addressed and then set aside.
Nobody here selected Bernie Sanders as the top debater, but the consensus is he's improved.
I think it was very important that he do a good job tonight because he had kind of a raspy voice last time. He had the heart attack, and he came back and had a nice debate.
What about Kamala Harris? How come no one's mentioned her?
I think we've heard her talking points well before, many times.
I feel like I've heard the story about her mother every debate, and I know it. Like, I know it by heart right now.
She's saying the same stump speech over and over.
Although our panelists started off undecided in June, after the last debate, Temple Hyatt said she decided on Elizabeth Warren.
My question for the other 7 of you, after this debate, have any of you made a decision?
Not yet.
No. All undecided still? Yep. Could you change your mind after the next debate in November?
Good. Possibly. A lot closer to caucus night.
Okay, let's get it down to 7.
I feel like I'm getting closer.
Stay tuned.
The next debate is November 20th. Gary Tuckman, CNN, Iowa City, Iowa.
Well, there's a full hour of news all ahead coming up on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Next, we're running through the day's top stories. But first, here's a preview of what's to come on an all-new For the Record.
Good morning, I'm Neil Heinen, and today on For the Record, we're going to walk you through the proposed 2020 Dane County budget, the $654 million capital and operating package that affects many of the most challenging issues of life in Dane County, including lakes and flooding, mental health and addiction. Dane County Executive Joe Parisi will explain his budget proposal heading into a new decade, and that's coming up this morning at 10:30 on News 3 Now.
Right now, same procedure at a differently drastic price. That's the reality patients nationwide are facing once insurance companies send them their medical bills. We continue to investigate why.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's October 20th. I'm Keely Arthur. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second. But first, here are 3 things to know as you begin your day. William Taylor, the acting U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, is expected on Capitol Hill this week for questioning in the impeachment inquiry. His testimony comes as a growing number of Republicans in Congress struggle to defend the president's actions over Ukraine and Syria. Right now, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney is leading a week retreat at Camp David with Republican lawmakers just days after revealing President Trump froze military aid to Ukraine because he wanted the country to investigate already debunked theories about the 2016 election. Mulvaney has since issued a statement reversing those remarks. And this year's World Series is set with the Houston Astros moving on to face the Washington Nationals after a big 6-4 win over the Yankees in Game 6 of the ALCS. Houston's Jose Altuve won the game with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th after New York tied the game with a home run of their own in the top of that inning. The Astros won the World Series in 2017. The Nationals have never won baseball's most prized trophy. And Badger fans are waiting to find out how far down the AP Top 25 they'll fall after a crushing loss to the Illini yesterday. Wisconsin went into their first road game in more than a month undefeated and just a week removed from a big blowout homecoming win against Michigan State. While they started off strong, they faltered in the end, losing on a last-second field goal from Illinois. Final score 24-23. Now, right now, CBSSports.com is predicting the loss will drop Wisconsin from 6th to 13. They play Ohio State on the road next weekend. And switching gears over to weather, our MVP of the weather's team, Chris Reese. You like that?
You know what? We have a win today in the weather department. That's a tough loss for the Badgers, but all of us here in Wisconsin will win with some sunshine today. We are going to be fighting some fog earlier on this morning. Dense fog advisories anywhere from just north of Eau Claire all the way down towards Dubuque. And it's mainly going to be that western half of the state where visibility is down to 0 in some spots. A lot of areas reporting visibility down to about a quarter mile, especially right along the Mississippi River Valley. In Madison, the official visibility at the airport 6 miles, but as you work your way towards the western half of Dane County, the visibility goes downhill and very quickly. Temperature-wise, we are at 48. There's a lot of cloud cover out there that we just call fog. It's just fog. But once up against the lift, we will see more sunshine headed throughout the afternoon. 35 right now in Viroqua, same for Camp Douglas. So a lot of those valleys are cooler as you wake up this morning. But I do want to point out weather track. Things are all quiet for us right now. I do believe we're going to be staying all quiet as we head throughout your Sunday. Temperatures are going to be warming up. 56 by noon, 63 by 4 o'clock. Keely?
All right, thank you, Chris. Across the country, Americans are paying drastically different prices for the exact same medical procedures. If you're wondering why, you are not alone. CBS consumer correspondent Anna Werner continues her investigation this morning into how insurance companies and providers keep some charges a secret.
I am 15 years old. I know that it's not that old, but at least I should have some say in what I want being done to me.
That was Morgan Gleason 5 years ago, already speaking out about health care.
I am the patient and I need to be heard. And these are all my morning pills.
Now 21, she's learned a lot about the system through her own journey. Gleason suffers from a disease called juvenile dermatomyositis, which causes severe muscle weakness. Treatment requires expensive infusion therapy once a month in a hospital.
If you couldn't get those, what would that mean for you?
I mean, not to sound morbid or anything, but I could die.
But as a budding health activist, it was the payments for those monthly infusions that caught her attention.
It was mind-blowing to me. It was just shocking.
Shocking because she discovered insurance companies paid different amounts for the same procedure. Gleason is covered under her parents' insurance, which over a year changed 3 times. For each infusion, the hospital billed roughly the same amount, around $29,000. In June 2018, records show Cigna paid a negotiated rate of just over $3,300 for that procedure. Then in December 2018, Blue Cross Blue Shield Alabama paid a different negotiated rate, just over $3,800. Yet in February this year, insurance company GEHA paid 5 times as much, nearly $21,000.
It was $17,000 more.
$17,000 more was this bill.
I was like, how is this even possible? Like, the only thing that's changed has been what insurance I have.
That difference affected the cost to her parents, too. Gleason says the price they paid went from about $220 out of pocket to more than $4,000 under the different insurance plans for the same procedure at the same hospital.
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Doctor and health services researcher Erin Carroll says it's all about the price negotiations between hospitals and insurance companies. Deals, he says, are done in secret.
They don't want everyone to know the information.
Because why not?
Well, because if everyone knows the price, then everybody can say, I want that price. Not letting everybody else know someone else is getting a discount is a good way to get some people to pay more money.
Ashley Thompson is with the American Hospital Association.
Why don't hospitals make it public what those deals actually are with the insurance companies?
Hospitals don't expose privately negotiated rates. It's a competitive market, it's a private market, and both hospitals and insurers believe it should remain that way.
But if it was public, if consumers knew those prices and could understand them better, wouldn't that help?
Again, I mean, I think that what consumers really want to know is what they're going to pay out of pocket.
But even figuring that out can be a real challenge, as New Jersey's Beth Toffel knows. 3 years ago, she wound up paying $4,000 for cardiac tests after insurance.
It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of money when you're already spending money on insurance.
She needs those tests again, but this time she's calling around to check prices and let us listen in.
Can you tell me what they would run this time?
They told her they didn't know the price. She would have to speak to the lab. So
I'm trying to find out approximately what a test will run.
The lab told her to call the financial counselor.
Hi, Gladys. This is Beth Toffel calling.
It went to voicemail. 2 hours later, she was no closer to an answer than when she started.
I think that's what happens. I think people either probably give up, they don't understand half of what they were told, and maybe they don't get the care they need.
CBS News reached out to the insurance companies in this story. Only Cigna responded, saying it's important for people to realize that healthcare costs vary. To share the prices you've paid or see what others are paying in cities nationwide, head to cbsnews.com/healthcosts. More local news now. New video this morning showing the terrifying moment a teenager was thrown from a speeding SUV in Kenosha. Police say they tried to pull the vehicle over, but the driver sped off. A 14-year-old girl in the back seat allegedly begged the driver to stop. That's when another passenger, 17-year-old Maisel Morgan, opened the door and pushed her out. The teen is recovering from a head injury that required stitches. Officers say the vehicle was stolen. Now, the driver has yet to be charged. Police in Madison are searching for a man who robbed an Atwood Avenue bank. Officers say the man in these pictures robbed the Monona Bank on the 1900 block of Atwood Ave. The man allegedly entered the bank shortly after it opened Saturday morning and instructed the teller to turn the money over. He got away with an undisclosed amount of cash. If you have any information related to this incident, you're asked to call Madison area Crime Stoppers. An update from news around the state. Prosecutors say the man charged with killing a person and wounding 2 others at a cemetery in Wausau left booby traps in his apartment with bombs for the police to find. 64-year-old Henry West of Schofield was in court Friday, where a cash bond was set at $10 million. Earlier this month, police say he opened fire at Pine Grove Cemetery in Wausau. 53-year-old Patty Grimm was killed during the violence. It is 7:09 right now. You are taking a live look outside. Chris has your full first alert forecast just ahead.
We are outside in the fog this morning, especially throughout the western half of Wisconsin. That is where dense fog advisories are in effect. Those visibilities are down to 0 in some spots, especially as you work your way towards the west of Madison. 0 right now in Mineral Point. The Dells at 0 visibility. Viroqua also at 0 visibility. Then you head towards Janesville. Visibility is perfect at 10 miles. So again, these western counties under that dense fog advisory, that is going to go until 9 o'clock this morning. Then things should be allowed to lift. Here's a live look outside right now. Still seeing some fog in the city of Madison, though visibility is better for us at 6 miles. Temperature-wise, we are starting things out at 48 degrees this morning, 44 in the Dells, 35 as you work your way over towards Viroqua, but here is what things look like throughout the upper Midwest as a whole. We've got some rain. This is what came through yesterday throughout parts of northern Michigan. That's moving away from us. We're in between systems right now. The next one moving in from the west. This is the area of low pressure developing near the Rockies right now. That heads our way tomorrow, and it's likely to bring with it some heavier chances for some rain. Here's Future Track put into motion. Finally seeing the more moisture content that I do believe we will have into tomorrow. By late tomorrow morning, lunchtime, I think we could see some heavy rain around here moving towards the north, along with some wraparound showers tomorrow night into your Tuesday. And then that includes the cloud cover as we head into your Wednesday as well. But this overall system is going to be tapping into colder air throughout parts of the upper Midwest. And so not only will we see some chillier air this weekend or this week, but by the weekend, I think we see a bigger push of some colder air. That's going to make it all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. I think we could struggle to get those temperatures out of the upper 30s during this period. And that's not the only one. We'll likely see another push of colder air by the time we get you towards next week. Folks, expect temperatures to be colder than normal as we head all the way through the end of this month and into the start of November. But today, we're above average. We're going to be warm. Things are going to be just fine. Once that fog burns off, plenty of sunshine. Look for temperatures topping out right around 63. Overnight tonight, here comes that cloud cover. When you wake up tomorrow morning, we might see some isolated showers around, but by about 10 o'clock, that's when I think that heaviest round of rain begins to move in. Your lunchtime hour, unfortunately, does not look pretty. Maybe pack a lunch and just stay in because the roads are certainly going to be wet with all of the heavy rain around there. We could see some isolated showers for the evening commute as well, and even into Tuesday morning's commute. Some isolated showers will be possible, but we will eventually begin to dry out. We'll keep some clouds and slight chances of rain around for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all do look fantastic. Temperatures will be in the 40s for highs. We'll see if we have to adjust those numbers downward, but overnight lows will be very close, if not just below the freezing mark, Keely.
So moral of the story, Chris, if you want to do something outside, maybe do it today?
Do it today because October and November are here. They're fast upon us.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, we've been asking you to share your morning with us, and check out this gorgeous photo sent in by Linda Watson. She says that she wanted to snap this photo, and she often watches our show. Thank you so much for sharing, Linda. And what does your morning look like? You can take a picture and post it on the Channel 3000 Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We'll share our favorites right here on News 3 Now. Time right now, 7:16, and Axe marks the spot at Madison's newest trendy business. Flannel Jack's is open for business, and it's hoping to capitalize on a new trend, which is rolling out just in time for Halloween. We're talking to the general manager just ahead on News 3. Welcome back. One of Madison's newest businesses has people axing for a good time. Literally, Flannel Jacks opened this month, and it's drawing crowds ready to test their aim, strength, and bravery. Kevin Jasowicz, general manager, joins us this morning. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Not every Sunday morning do we see weapons on
Yeah, it's kind of weird walking
show.
around with these. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's essentially a place where you can go and throw axes kind of at a bullseye.
Yeah, we're Extreme Social Fun. So we have 7 courts with 14 lanes in them. So they're great for bigger groups, the corporate parties, team building, and whatnot. But yeah, absolutely. So we go in there and we have some axes for you to throw. We have 2 lanes in each court, so it's, like I said, very good for those big groups. We have about 12 games also that we kind of created for them too. So there's a lot of cool, energy behind it.
Where are you located?
We're 6704 Watts Road, right by Gammon Road and the Woodmans.
Pretty close to the station. I know my colleagues Leah Lynchide and Josh Spider went and did this for their own shoot. You said it really anybody can do it if Leah can do it.
Yeah, she did great. Absolutely.
She did great. She probably did very well. Yeah. So explain that to people.
Yeah, it's just mostly the nerves. I mean, it's very unusual to be throwing an axe at a wooden target, that's for sure. But the energy behind it, the kind of the cool games that we put together as well with that, it makes it much more easy as well too. So
I think this is, it can be a bit intimidating than maybe some other kind of activities and things around the city. What would you say to people to kind of calm their fear?
Well, we have our lumberjacks and our lumberjills there too. So it's like an attendant that's there, kind of revving you up, going through the games and whatnot, teaching you the stance and the form too. So you're being safe, which is paramount over at Flannel Jacks. But I mean, it's more so, like I said, when you get rid of the nerves and the anxiety of it, and once it sticks on the target for the first time, it's just exhilarating.
I was gonna say, I mean, what do people say when they finally stick it in the wall?
Well, I mean, there's screams of excitement and joy too, and then we got the bells right next to it. So in the event you hit a bullseye, you just ring that bell, and then the energy just carries.
And I know a lot of families watch this show. In terms of ages, is there a age that you?
Yeah, 18 and up is where we go for as well. Okay. I mean, when we say anybody can do it, obviously.
Any adult.
Yeah, any adult, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great. And you said that you kind of just got into this with this job. I mean, are you now an axe thrower?
I would call myself a professional, actually, but no. But yeah, I never threw an axe before Flannel Jacks. And then when I got into it, I didn't realize how much of a trend it was and, how big it is in America now. So, and I guess more so it's that adult fun as opposed to going to, playing pool or darts.
Exactly. And pretty cost effective?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's $25 an hour per person, or it's $40 an hour per person, or I'm sorry, for 2 hours per person. And after a while, I mean, an hour and a half of throwing those axes, your arm starts to feel a little bit like rubber.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Flannel Jacks on Watts Road.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, there is a half-hour news still ahead on News 3 Now this morning. Next, we're running through the morning's top stories. Plus, first, we're going to look at big box, co-op, or online. We have done the research, and we're sharing where and how to find the best grocery deals here in Madison. That's next on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's October 20th. I'm Keely Arthur. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second. But first, here are the 3 things to know as you begin your day. Madison police are searching for a man who robbed an Atwood Avenue bank this weekend. Officers say the man in these pictures robbed the Monona Bank on the 1900 block of Atwood Ave. The man allegedly entered the bank shortly after it opened Saturday morning and instructed the teller to turn over all the money. He got away with an undisclosed amount of cash. If you have any information related to this incident, you're asked to call Madison area Crime Stoppers. And you'll start seeing more Teslas on the road this week, with Green Cab rolling out 30 to 40 of them by the end of the year. It's part of the push to make Wisconsin carbon neutral by 2050. Green Cab will be one of the nation's first taxi companies with an entire fleet of Teslas. Hybrid Priuses will be replaced by the all-electric Tesla Model 3s. This is a partnership with the local tech startup Zeroology, which aims to speed up the transition into eco-friendly transportation. We're told fares won't go up. As the Wisconsin Book Festival continues today, the Wisconsin South Central Library System is announcing people should expect a delay in checking out ebooks starting November 1st. Madison Public Library's publishing company, Macmillan Publishers, announced a new model that redistricts libraries to lending out ebooks. Now, they are petitioning against this. Library officials say people will be competing against 750,000 other libraries for one book. They say the restriction could make people wait for months. And switching over to weather now, Chris Reese joining us with a pretty good-looking Sunday.
Yeah, things are starting out on a quiet note for us. They're staying on a quiet note for us. Really, this is Weather Track. Not a lot happening out there, but one of the things we're going to be watching as we go throughout the day is more sunshine. Temperatures are also gradually going to be warming up. We're going to be in the mid-50s by lunch. We'll top out into the low 60s for those highs as we head into this afternoon. Ultimately, Keely, things are going to be beautiful as we go through today, but we will have to deal with some fog this morning. There's a dense fog advisory that is going to go until 9 o'clock, especially for Madison and points to the west. Visibility's down to 0 in some spots. So if you encounter that fog, folks, please just take it easy.
All right, thank you, Chris. We continue with breaking news from across the pond. The vote for the UK to leave the European Union has been kicked down the road to the beginning of this week in what's already being described as Manic Monday. Saturday's rare session ended without any resolution, offering little detail on when or even if Britain will finally leave the world's largest trading bloc. Meanwhile, massive crowds of anti-Brexit protesters are already back on the streets of London today. Organizers say up to 1 million people jammed the central part of the city overnight as Parliament withheld approval of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's deal. They approved an amendment that postponed the vote on the Prime Minister's deal, a pretty big setback for Johnson, but good news for Brits who want to remain in the EU.
We don't want to break up of our union. We want to stay in Europe. We want to stay aligned. It's good for us, and we need to stay, and we demand another vote, and that's why we're here.
I want a clean break. I want a fully independent, sovereign United Kingdom.
By law, the Prime Minister has to ask for an extension to the October 31st Brexit deadline. But here's where things could get a bit tricky. Boris Johnson says he can't do that, which may mean he has something else up his sleeve. Well, back on American soil, William Taylor, the acting U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, is expected on Capitol Hill this week for questioning in the impeachment inquiry. His testimony comes as a growing number of Republicans in Congress struggle to defend the president's actions over Ukraine and Syria. Right now, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney is leading a weekend retreat at Camp David with Republican lawmakers just days after revealing President Trump froze military aid to Ukraine because he wanted the country to investigate already debunked theories about the 2016 election. But despite delivering the news defiantly, hours later, Mulvaney reversed his remarks in a statement, claiming they were, quote, misconstrued and insisting there was absolutely no quid pro quo. Now members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are speaking out, with even a member of the president's own party saying he won't rule out impeaching him.
The instance of Mr. Mulvaney is the continuation of the collapse of this administration, the kind of calamity and catastrophic actions that are going on.
I was shocked at those.
Republicans were much quicker to call out President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria before the Turkish military invaded, leaving Kurdish fighters to fend for themselves, even though they are close allies with the U.S. The president has shown no regret, but Turkey says the attack will resume if the Kurds don't leave the area in 3 days' time. In a Washington Post op-ed, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell denounced this decision. Well, new this morning, the Houston Astros are moving on to the World Series after eliminating, I hear Chris clapping right now, got a fan, the New York Yankees with a 6-4 win overnight in Game 6 of the ALCS. Now, Houston's Jose Altuve won the game with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th after New York tied the game with a home run of their own in the top of the inning. The Astros won the World Series in 2017 and will now get another shot as they get ready to play the Washington Nationals, who recently eliminated the St. Louis Cards to win the National League pennant. As for the Yankees, their loss means this will be the 10th consecutive year the team, baseball's historically dominant franchise, will not appear in the series. Well, back in Wisconsin, today Badger fans are waiting to find out how far down the AP Top 25 the team will fall after a crushing loss to the Illini yesterday. Wisconsin went into their first road game more than a month undefeated and just a week removed from a very successful blowout homecoming win against Michigan State. They started off strong but faltered in the end, losing on a last-second field goal from Illinois. Final score 24-23. Right now, CBSSports.com is predicting the loss will drop Wisconsin from 6th to 13th in the polls. They play Ohio State on the road next weekend. Well, there is no shortage of grocery stores across the metro area, and that, of course, means a lot of choices for you on how to feed your family. But if you find yourself trying to get the best bang for your buck, News 3 Now's Josh Sprider shows you how to find affordable groceries right here in Madison.
It's just nice to feel like you're buying things that are fresh.
Marcy DeGrief is always in search of the best deals at the grocery store.
Trying to feed a family of 4, you do try to take advantage of sales when you can.
What makes it even more difficult, the mother of 2 wants to find local produce and local meat especially.
Most importantly, I usually look for local farms, and then from there, I may price out between a couple different places.
She says she usually ends up at the Willie Street Co-op, where she can buy just the right amount of food she needs to feed her family.
Sometimes bulk means buying 12 or 24 of things, but for us it means buying as much or as little as you need.
The Co-op's Brendan Smith says you often get better deals buying from the bulk aisle because of the savings on packaging and transportation. Bulk meaning taking home exactly what you need.
If you just need a tablespoon of cinnamon or a cup of flour, you can buy just that amount.
That's also one of the tips registered dietitian nutritionist Emmy Bodden has for grocery shoppers. But before you go to the store, your work starts at home.
The first thing that I do myself is kind of look up the deals. So whether it's the grocery store's weekly circular or the deals that are in the grocery store's own app.
Then find what's right for you and your family. So if produce is your focus, she says find what store has your favorite products and go from there. Also, don't skip the frozen foods aisle because it can save you time and money.
Frozen foods can be picked at their prime, they're frozen at their prime, and they're shipped frozen. So they retain their nutritional value, and being picked at their prime, they often have that higher nutritional value to start with.
And if you're really trying to save money,
shopping local can save you some money, and it can ensure, like you said, that products don't take a long time to get to you. That can retain a lot of the nutritional value too. Plus it supports local businesses, which is always a good thing.
That means staying away from meal kit delivery companies you often see online, even though the food conveniently comes right to your door with all the ingredients.
I think that you can get a lot more bang for your buck if you're purchasing individual ingredients and making your own meal out of them versus getting those ingredients pre-cut, pre-chopped, and pre-packaged sent to you. That really ups the price tag without upping the portion size too.
Marcy tells me she will continue to find the best deals and shop locally.
I very much like the feeling of knowing where the food comes from.
She encourages others not to take the abundance of options for granted after living in parts of the country where it just doesn't exist.
Accessibility is huge here to be able to get those things, unless you're growing it yourself, which is obviously the best way to do it, but we don't have time for that.
In Madison, Josh Breiter, News 3 Now.
Some helpful information there. If you have any questions on how to save at the grocery store, you can go to Real Good Nutrition on the channel3000.com links page. Time right now, 7:35, and it's time for a pasta party. October is the national month celebrating an Italian favorite. And this morning we have Olive Garden in the studio. I'm very excited about this segment, showing you how to build your own pasta bar inspired by their ever popular never-ending pasta bowl at home. Get hungry. We'll be right back. Welcome back. October is National Pasta Month, and what better way to celebrate than by indulging in it? Sure, you can head out to your favorite restaurant, but you really don't have to go anywhere to enjoy a tasty meal, because this morning the folks from Olive Garden are here with tips for building your own pasta bar. Good morning, Christina. Thank you for joining us and bringing all this gorgeous food.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on at Olive Garden right now.
So we've got a number of great options if you want to celebrate. October is National Pasta Month. And if you want to celebrate like we are at the restaurant, you can create your own pasta bar, which is what I'm here to talk about today. If you don't have the time or the energy to cook a big old spread if you're having people over, we do catering for our pasta stations, which gives you 3 of our top pastas, sauces, and toppings. Create your own pasta bar at home. It's great to give your guests the option to kind of mix and match and create their own. And you can also do that in the restaurant. We're featuring our never-ending pasta bowl right now. And you can come into the restaurant and there's like over 100 combinations you can create with all the different pastas, sauces, and toppings.
What's your favorite?
I love the spaghetti marinara and meatballs because it's not too filling, but I still get, you know, my belly full.
Yeah.
And I like to mix and match. My new favorite sauce is our creamy roasted garlic sauce, which I have right in the front there.
Beautiful.
And yeah, just kind of go to town.
And what is this, what kind of sauce is that?
So this is our 5-cheese marinara sauce.
Okay.
And we've got our traditional marinara, which is again one of my favorites. Meat sauce. There's all different kinds of options. And then have fun with pasta too. Pasta is amazing. There's so many different shapes, so many different different things that you can do with it. So I brought a bunch of different pastas, just a sampling of what we offer at the restaurant.
Right.
And everybody can kind of, the great thing about a pasta bar is everybody can pick their own.
Yeah. And I'm sure different ones kind of pair better with different sauces and things like that. And folks over at Olive Garden can help people pick. Great.
Absolutely.
And I know the last time you were here, we were talking more about kind of the zoodle craze. And you said for an additional charge, people can have that at Olive Garden as well if they want to be low carb.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the zoodles and we have garden veggie toppings. So if you don't want to go with like something that's heavy like a meat, you can do garden veggies on top of your pasta dish.
That's great. And so this is going on all through October. What's the pricing there?
So the never-ending pasta bowl starts at $12.99. And then with the topping choices, it kind of fluctuates. But once you pay for that topping, it's unlimited refills on the pasta, the sauce, and the topping of your choice. And you can just, like I said, have fun with it.
Oh, looks so fun and smells so good. We really appreciate you coming here and bringing us all this food, Christina. Thank you.
Of course, absolutely.
Well, you are taking a live look over the Capitol. Chris is back with your full forecast next on News 3 Now this morning. But first, if you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, please let us know and we will share their birthday picture up on our TV screens.
Good morning, folks. We are still waking up with limited visibility on the western half of Wisconsin, especially as you get closer over towards the Mississippi River. That's where visibilities are down to a quarter mile, if not zero in some spots. Zero in Mineral Point, same for the Dells, Viroqua, Black River Falls, Socorro, all at zero visibility. In Madison, we've got 6 mile visibility. That's for the eastern half of the county, but just back towards the west, the visibility goes downhill, and it does go downhill quickly. These same areas under dense fog advisories, those are going to go all the way until 9 o'clock, and then eventually I think these dense fog advisories will be allowed to come down. But still, some mid-level cloud cover, which is essentially just trapped fog, is showing up right now on the Edgewater sky camera. The temperature 48 degrees. This is all due to a calm wind and dew points that are very much near what the actual air temperature is. Here are air temperatures right now. 48 in Madison, 43 in the Dells, Viroqua, an air temperature of 34. Now, watch this. We put dew points in place, and they are very similar to the air temperatures. The dew point in Viroqua, 34. The dew point in Madison, 46. Dew point, folks, is just the temperature that which water vapor condenses and it forms a droplet. So fog is nothing but a cloud that is formed on the ground because our temperatures and dew points are so near each other. Now, actual cloud cover outside of the fog, there's not a whole lot of that, but we are watching some of that starting to move in from the west. This is going to be our next system coming our direction, that new area of low pressure developing just east of the Rockies. That tracks our direction as we head into tomorrow, and I do believe it's going to tap into more moisture than yesterday's system. So here's Future Track showing you the rain developing, especially towards the later half of tomorrow morning. And then we'll even likely see some wraparound showers on the backside of that lead to more rain as we head into your Tuesday. Eventually, we'll start to dry things out, but I think we're going to have to get through a dreary couple of days and a cooler couple of days. This system will tap into some cooler air, but that's not it. There's going to be more shots of cold that are going to come in. There's a bigger one by the weekend, perhaps another stronger shot of cold that comes in after that. This is going to be the pattern, folks, as we go through the end of the month and into November. Look for cooler than normal temperatures, especially throughout the Midwest, but really for a large part of the country. In the meantime, we do have one more above average day. That's going to be today. The fog lifts. We'll see more sunshine. Temperatures warm up towards 63 degrees. We'll keep the clouds on the increase, though, headed through the overnight hours. Here's some showers by 10 o'clock tomorrow. More and more of those showers throughout lunchtime. Lunchtime tomorrow, honestly, just maybe pack your lunch, stay in. It doesn't look all that pleasant. We'll see the scattered showers through the evening rush hour as well. And then again, those wraparound showers are looking likely into your Tuesday. Outside of that, things are going to be breezy and cloudy. We'll stay cloudy and breezy all the way through Thursday with those slight chances. Then we'll see some sunshine for next weekend. Temperatures will stay cooler, though, in the 40s and low 50s for highs.
Nice to see the sun as the majority of our forecast.
Yeah, this is the time of the year that the cloud cover really tries to start to win over. You know, we always say there's 6 months of cloud cover, October to April. But every glimpse of sun, let's soak it up.
Absolutely, especially today.
Yes, today especially. Yeah.
It's going to be nice. I just was looking at the forecast.
It's October 20th. It's going to be nice.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Oh, my goodness. There is more news ahead all day long. Chris just cracks me up on News 3 Now. And then tomorrow morning, we are getting a first look at the newest construction project on the Isthmus, a multi-purpose building that will reshape the Madison skyline. But first, we're ending this show this morning with our Michael Bruno. He's taking a backstage look at the latest local production with a special Madison connection. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Welcome back. The Broome Street Theater is paying tribute to its late legendary artistic director Joel Gersman with a new play called Keep It, plucked from the corpus of Joel Gersman.
The play is a highlight of 10 of Gersman's plays, and only our Michael Bruno got a behind-the-scenes look.
Where's my public relations officer? Lieutenant Kimball.
Yes, sir.
Take pictures of my men.
Yes, sir. Click, 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 smile, sir. Click, 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 click.
Write up the bombing missions. This is major news. Send it to all the papers in Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
I'll be senator yet.
Well, this year is our 50th anniversary, and Joel was such a huge part of this theater for 35 of those 50 years that as the anniversary came up, I thought we really need to do something that addresses Joel's legacy, that reintroduces a younger generation to Joel's work, people who wouldn't have seen it.
Well, this is about Joel Gersman and the work, and really the commitment he had to art in his life. This is someone who prioritized theater and the creative life over everything else. And he showed many people, myself included, how you can create, tell your own story. And he fostered many people in Madison and throughout the country in that effort.
I need 10 minutes to learn how to use the tail guns. This will get me more votes. I've only been on one real bombing mission. Some might call it a love letter to Broome Street and Joel Gersman, but considering it's Joel Gersman, it might be a fairly angry and slightly offbeat love letter.
And does this consist of the body of his work over the years?
It would be about 4 weeks long if we did the entire body of Joel Gersman's work. This is about 10 to 11 of his sections of many of his greatest hits in many ways. Sexy Priests, The Abortionist, Joe a Life, and taking all of those and putting them together in sort of a compilation as a tribute to his work and his influence on Broome Street Theater.
You've been swell to us, sir. You're like Santa Claus to us men.
Take me up in this plane. Show me how to use the tail gun. I need more combat experience.
I play about 30 different roles altogether. I play Anne Frank, I'm John the Baptist, I play the Pope's personal pizza table, I'm a Southern lady, I'm a sexy ghost, and many more. We're taking off, sir!
I'll be senator yet. Strafe those coconut trees!
He wrote 88 original works, but he directed 114 shows. And initially, we were thinking for the 50th anniversary of Broome Street, we would do one of his shows, bring it back. But the more I thought about it, it just didn't quite feel right. Some of his shows were literally take Cosmo magazine, take a few articles, and make a show based on that.
We're home, sir.
Oh, good job, Kimball. I must have destroyed 1,000 coconut trees.
Other of his plays, would be a specific person, a biography of McCarthy or Princess Diana. But there are just so many wonderful elements and so many wonderful scenes in his plays. Doing one just seemed a little stale to me. So when I thought, well, I could do what Joel did, and instead of Cosmo magazine, I could use his entire body of work and create something new without changing any of the words.
And obviously, he was a very, very controversial character. In studying his body of work, did you find things out about him that you didn't know previously?
It's amazing when you look at some of these plays, especially something like Sexy Priests or Joe a Life, in which so much of it is still relevant today, and it's sadly enough, it still works. Joel could be writing today right now, and he could pick up right where he left off. And it would probably anger him so much that he could do that.
And what do you think Joel would say about all this if he were here now to look around and say, this is where it's come to? There's bullshit.
Beep. Beep. Now you can call me Tail Gunner Joe.
Yes, sir, Tail Gunner Joe.
Write up articles about my heroism. Tell the exploits of Tail Gunner Joe. Give it the old blood and guts treatment.
Yes, sir.
Send copies to all the papers in Wisconsin, including those counties of my judicial district.
Yes, sir.
What kind of mission is this, Lieutenant?
A combat mission, sir.
That's right, a combat mission.
And you can see Keep It plucked from the corpus of Joel Gersman at the Broome Street Theater. Well, it is a gorgeous October 20th, Chris. And,
it is
yeah.
a very gorgeous October 20th. We're going to be looking at more sunshine out there. Temperatures around 63 before we gradually cool down through the week. Speaking of October 20th, this is your pet walk right now. Hunter
Oh, look at those
and
two.
Annabelle.
All
Absolutely
right.
beautiful.
Have a great October 20th, everybody. Thanks for watching.